You see? Recording to the cloud.
Yes.
Let me see if it is. 1 second, please. Okay, it's I suppose stop recording, so it's working.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You can start with it.
Yeah, so let's get started. We would like to know about your current work right now.
So,
Can you please
trying to explain very briefly. I am a strategy consultant for 20 years, and before I was an M&A and investment banking guy. And I worked with international entities like JP Morgan, like Oliver Wyman in consulting. And since 2000, I have a team in Portugal that collects people that came out of consulting and other fields to interact and work together on advanced consulting in strategy. So, in the restructuring, innovation, all those fields. In 2009 or something, or 2010, we worked with PepsiCo, and we found that there was, in the first briefing from PepsiCo, there was something called performance with purpose that was like a filter to what we could do in strategy for them in Iberia. This was an Iberian project. And so there was a briefing from a lady in the US called Indra Nooyi, an Indian lady that leads PepsiCo with success for many years now. And this program was called Performance with Purpose. And they were bringing this program to the consultants, not to the communication to the outside, but to inside to their consultants. And so I was a bit, I got the awakening that some large firms were starting to use sustainability to filter the strategy equation. So bringing in the, if you want, some sustainability equations to the overall strategic equation, like filters or constraints, like a equation system, yes? So yeah, getting more complex, the strategy design. Yes? And so we went to find the knowledge required to do that. And as we worked a lot with backcasting, thinking about the disruptive future, thinking about the future in strategy in general, disconnected from the present. As we found, as TNS and FSSD was presented to us, for me was absolutely obvious. It was a perfect match because we thought we worked with backcasting for business in general and how to position a business in the market and how to anticipate market needs and think about the future scenarios, you see. So it was obvious connection. So it was like the layer of sustainability would connect on the three circles, very well connected one to the other and really deeply into the business. So it was an obvious connection, and we started working as part of, progressively as part of the Natural Step Network since 2010, and I'm now a member of the board of the Natural Step International, trying to move forward the evolution and the strategy of TNS, and keeping in connection with MSLS, with BTH, because, for example, I was in contact during this week with Henrik Nie for sustainable transport. Was participating in an exercise here about the future of transportation, how to decarbonize the transportation sector and the society, and I was bringing in and studying the work from BTH on that. Okay.
So you're also involved in this project of transportation
No, not involved, but trying to bring in that content
Mhm.
and to see how to make it evolve
Yeah,
into
great.
here.
So, thank you. And our next question is on sustainability. How do you define sustainability?
So I learned with Natural Step, I learned with FSSD, so I was not polluted by other things before. So I imagine I tend to think about end game, about zero impact.
Mhm.
We also we can, let me show you an interesting picture. 1 second, please.
Yeah, sure.
So you have the desktop, and then I open.
Mhm.
1 second, please. Ooh. Sorry, it's opening.
Yes.
I think the computer was sleeping, so it's 1 hour before, so first hour in the office. So let me show you. Let me see if I can show you bigger. It's bigger. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our most recent perspective on the sustainability ladder, whatever, that you may have seen already. A ladder, yes?
Mhm.
This
I
is
guess it's using with Bob Willard.
maybe it's there is David Cook tells me that he designed the ladder. I never know who did it, but so this is a ladder in which you come from denial, compliance, CSR, and then into strategy. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we use the funnel, yes, the Swedish analogy with the funnel, to see if people are in denial and against the walls of the funnel. The funnel, I imagine, is absolutely clear to you, yes?
Yes.
And then some are doing only first steps. People like circular economy are in the middle of the funnel trying to move in a more systemic way, doing things or certifying products or trying to become sustainable in some areas of the business. But we believe that for high value creation and for we should, and also because we should really try to aim at zero impact, like the partner of us says, minimum is zero impact that we should aim for. So we should be, I believe you follow the mouse, yes? At integrated strategy. So at the cylinder, so thinking like TNS does, explaining the limits of the system, environmental and social, and try to plan and backcast from there. Yes, but we don't stop there. We as we worked with a client in Portugal that went very far in using FSSD. Not does not mean they are perfect, but they really worked with this end in mind. They then started using other methods to go beyond the cylinder and to start going into regeneration. So we speak about these two domains as both important. And that's why, let me explain also this, 1 second. That's why, let me find the slide. Not here. Wait. Wait. Oh. Then things with 1 second, because things with with sharing screen become more complex.
Mm-hmm.
So, here. Sorry. So we work with, if you, can you see it's good enough or?
Yes, yes, big enough.
So we have a set of partnerships to go to the cylinder and to go beyond the cylinder. And so we are here, New Next Moves, New Next Futures, and we relate to, so we are members of TNS, we relate to other boutiques in Italy, in Germany, in Sweden, yes? It's like our equivalents in advisory, in strategy with sustainability. And, but we also work beyond the cylinder with Gunter Pauli and Blue Economy, you see here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because in this you should see. Kalle would kill me if I say this, but you really should go through a lecture, and I can share with you a lecture, 2.5 hours, that is really amazing on how to go beyond the cylinder and create big regeneration and big disruption innovation. You'll never see these things again in the same way after going through one of these things. Have I shared with you, Adriana, before or not?
No, you didn't share with me. No.
No, I will. It's an amazing lecture, and you'll see disruption to restore that allows to create huge value and restore planet and society. It's really amazing. Now, for example, we are partnering with a team, an NGO in Portugal that wants to reforest because we had huge fires, like in California. You know, it was something in which a lot of people died. So got completely out of control due to extreme conditions in weather, and due to our situation in the Atlantic coast is very particular. It's difficult to control the fires, and so we need to start replanting in a completely new way. You know, also separating trees from houses and things like that. People are learning the hard way that they will have the houses on fire if they are completely connected with the forest and the trees. And we have a team also on this same line of thinking, a team of Brazilians led by a German guy called Ernst Dutch, who is a magician in making rain happen and restoring planet. Amazing. It's called syntropy. So not entropy, is syntropy. So agroforestry in syntropy. Amazing. They plant trees. So let me explain something about this because it's very interesting. What does Gunter Pauli say related to the TNS and the FSSD thinking? That is important to tell you. And that is some news. So again, please don't say this to DTH people because they may not find you, may not be prepared to this talk. But he says that you know this picture here, yes? Well, the cycles of nature and the sun as the open element energy and infinite, let's call it, and the chlorophyll function, yes? Gunter Pauli says chlorophyll is not the only function. That's some interesting news. This guy related a lot with the FSSD and Kalle before. He was the head of a company called very innovative and biological called Ecover in how do you call it, in detergent, yes? This guy says chlorophyll is not enough. We need to cool the soil. So there is a function of trees that is cooling the soil. By cooling the soil, we change the conditions of the plant. So very, very interesting. So addition of science on these cycles of nature, yes? And then you create conditions to have symbiosis. So it goes like zoom in into nature with physics, mainly with physics, and zooms in to explain how symbiosis happens in nature, how value creation happens. So you tend to go beyond the cylinder. So it's not against, it's like a complementary knowledge to go. So they both agree that we shouldn't go to the cylinder to net zero impact, but he says we should also, both say we should, if possible, go beyond in the restore, but he explains how to do the restore. And that is the amazing part. It's a never ending, it's not an end game with a very specific equation, but it's a never ending story because you start recreating planet and society with a lot of disruptive investments in technologies or emulating the laws of nature, okay? Like biomimicry and things like that. Okay? Oh, I responded to you. Or not?
Could you please repeat that?
Oh, I responded to you.
Yeah. That's to me, that's a total new understanding as well. So we appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
But we keep using, let's be clear, we keep using, we have an NGO, the Natural Step in Portugal, we keep using all that knowledge, but we say we need to add, and we need to try to go for net positive, okay? And I don't say that TNS is against that, not at all, but that there needs to be additional knowledge to understand how to go beyond.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure. And apparently you created that extending knowledge.
No, I'm not creating. I'm combining people that hate each other because they had an history, yes? Big, the pioneers in sustainability, normally they hate each other because they had a big history of talks and disputes and things like that. And so I'm trying to bring them together because it's very important to bring the knowledge together. Okay?
And how do you communicate that knowledge?
Very difficult, and very difficult for people to understand these, because not to understand, but to really apply, because people prefer to do some philanthropy and some marginal things. So if we are in the business of saying, let's go to the end game, let's think about end game, let's come back. And, it's really, really strategic. So we need to speak with CEOs. That's one of the problems. And the CEOs need to be people that I call people whose eyes shine. So people that are engageable. I don't say they are engaged, but they are engageable. Okay. So we have few clients. It's not easy to do. We try to find the right leaders to do this transformation. One of them is possibly the largest, is a player in wine and olive oil. They did this really far away with the two combined sciences, and they have possibly the largest organic vineyards area, amount of land in all Europe. Esporal, the name of the wine. So a wine that has no chemicals at all, in large scale, like 800 hectares or something like that, in 2 different locations in the country, completely different climates and conditions. and they solved all the problems with diseases and everything, because they thought completely holistic. And forestry and water, everything is thought together with the vineyard. They bring in animals to create the conditions to restore, to have an equilibrium in the ecosystem. For example, falcons to send away some types of birds that bring diseases. Bats, they install houses for bats. For the bats, eat the insects. They eat insects like things like this. They plant between, in wine, when you are planting wine, it's like a line, yes, a line of for having the grapes, and between the line they have they plant. Why? Because they have the animals and the subsoil coming in and decompacting the soil. Things like this, it's a full ecosystem, is a full internet of nature that they work with an information system. It's amazing.
Yeah. So I think you have already mentioned that, but what about your experience in the sustainability fields? How do you see the pros and cons?
The cons I don't see. The main problem is the adoption. People tend to go for easier solutions. They do some things here, some things there, to put on a report. The best, normally, the guys that think more thoroughly, they don't start with report. They start with transformation, and they are cautious on what they write on report, because they don't want to overpromise, but they are committed to do transformation. For example, our first client was the leader in motorways in Portugal, and they say they got a punch in stomach as we explained deep thinking in sustainability, and we said that their report was full of compensations for pollution. Like, we pollute in highways, we all pollute in highways, let's give money to agricultural and animal farm to compensate for the carbon. And we said, this is a joke. Gentlemen, you can give this money, it's fantastic, that's philanthropy, and that's fantastic, it's positive. But you need to really go deep and see what is the composition of the roads, how you are, impacting with the roads, all the ecosystem, how cars are polluting as they go on roads. If you need to expand the roads, enlarge, or if you need to have other types of solutions to create value and not to have more impact. The questions of noise on the roads, the question of accidents. Zero accidents should be the norm, you see. And then they said, we got a punch in the stomach. They went to WBCSD in Geneva and starting working with people like Toyota and others on sustainable mobility with technology to change. And they used technology in the past, but it was more for toll roads payment systems. And we said, you need to bring technology to create smart cities. And you need to see also the cities that you connect through the roads. Now they are with BMW on Drive Now, the shared cars and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And so a little bit more elaborate questions on your experience with FSSD. What do you think with FSSD? What characteristics of it have you used more in your daily practice?